This is KTVO's Good Morning Heartland.
Welcome back. Love it or hate it, we had to move our clocks forward an hour over the weekend courtesy of daylight savings time, and we've heard a lot of people complaining, so the question is, are there any real medical implications in daylight savings time? Dr. Justin Puckett from Complete Family Medicine is here this morning to break it down for us. So are there any medical implications?
Well, sleep's super important, and so anytime we mess with our sleep architecture, as you mentioned earlier, there's lots of studies that show that around daylight savings time that we have decreased productivity and increased accidents. So that 1 hour does make a difference.
Okay, so what can we do either before or even after to kind of help us ease into losing that hour?
Well, the first thing that you can do is make sure that you kind of start to shift in that direction a little bit early. I recommend going about halfway through the time difference that you're going to have, and do that a few days in advance.
We actually have a graphic, if we can go ahead and put that up. Thank you. There we go.
Other things that you can do is, every couple days, you go to sleep a little bit earlier, and then you can even start to get up a little bit earlier, and that helps ease you into the transition. Also exercising, especially exercising in the light and maintaining good light exposure during the day really helps to reset that circadian rhythm. And then it's also important that even though we don't shift the clock back till right before bed or whatever, we need to make sure that we shift that evening's activities, or especially dinner, a little bit earlier, because during dinner, after we eat, that kind of is a timeline, a part of our timeline that gets tagged, and so shifting that forward will help kind of get us onto the new schedule.
And what are some other things that we can do? Isn't there stuff, drinking water and all that other stuff, staying away from caffeine?
Yeah, making sure that you're hydrated, staying away from caffeine is really important, because you're trying to go to sleep maybe a little bit earlier than what you would normally. Depending upon how you're traveling, if you're doing time, the other big issue is time zone changing, and so in those instances, sometimes you're trying to adjust 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, and so it's really important to stick to those lifestyle modifications during that transition time.
And what about bedroom behavior when it comes to watching TV or checking your phone? Do you recommend doing any of that before you go to sleep?
The biggest issue is that, especially with electronic devices, there's something about that light that's emitted from those electronic devices that kind of can trick our brain into thinking that that the sun is shining full bright. So trying to limit your activity, or making sure that in the evenings that you keep the brightness of your monitor turned down. But really, you're going to be best served by limiting that the last few hours before you go to bed, and certainly not in your bedroom. You need to save your bedroom for sleep only, and so do all the rest of that stuff. Even your evening, reading a book or something that's a little more calming and relaxing ought to be done somewhere else other than the bedroom. All
right, those are some good advice. When it comes to children, do they feel the effect as well?
They do, but like in so many ways, they're a little more moldable quicker. So, my recommendation is, when we spring forward, that you just, we spring at our house forward. We change all of our clocks in the house, like when the last thing Sunday afternoon or evening is done. So then we are going to, if bedtime is 8:30, then bedtime's the new 8:30. And try to make the kids' room a little more dark, because it may be a little brighter than what they're used to. But I don't know about other people's kids, but mine are, it takes them 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours to go to sleep anyway. So just put them in there, shut the door, and it'll all work out.
Right. So, we hear about people complaining about, oh, it takes me a really long time to adapt to this new change. How long does it really take somebody to adapt to these new changes?
Well, really, it's about 1 to 2 days per hour. So if you do the right things to make the adjustment. If you kind of fall off of that and keep trying to go to bed an hour late, and then you're trying to get up early and putting yourself in a sleep-deprived state, it's going to take a lot longer. But, follow these recommendations, and in a day or two, you'll be adjusted.
Okay. And what about, do you recommend any sleep medications to get us through?
Sleep medications can be helpful in limited circumstances, but we've talked before that they come with a lot of baggage. And so if you're doing travel across time zones, and you're going to be trying to make an adjustment by multiple hours, sometimes they become necessary. But really, just kind of doing those normal go-to-bed routines is probably more valuable. We do have some short-acting sleep medicines that, if you're going to bed and falling asleep okay, but then you're waking up at your old time, taking a short-acting sleeping medicine, like a short-acting Zolpidem and Ambien, can help you then kind of go back to sleep and finish that transition. That's where I have the most trouble on making these shifts, is I still wake up at the same time,
Right.
which is now the wrong time. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for all this information. It's definitely very useful. And what we'll do is we'll post all of this on our website at heartlandconnection.com, as well as Dr. Puckett's information with Complete Family Medicine. And we'll be right back.